If God has something to say, He will move mountains to put you where He wants you. If He has something for you to do, He will put you on the platform that He wants you on. And every time I start getting in there and trying to make it work, it's just so much striving. And then when I just say, okay, Lord, I'm just open, man, amazing things happen. And you can just rest in that. And yeah.
This is the Hillsong Creative Podcast, where we hear from creative experts, influencers, dreamers, and doers, what they've learned and what we can learn from their journey as we explore, respond, and create.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. This is Rich Langton, and I'm super excited about the interview we've got for you today. But before we get into that, I just wanted to remind you that we're doing a new thing in season 4, which is coming up, and that is we are answering your questions. So if you've got a burning question that you'd like to ask the creative team here at Hillsong Church, or you'd like to ask me about the way we do something here, just go to our bio in our Instagram and click the link. Or you can download the Anchor app on your smartphone and ask your question. And make sure you leave your Instagram handle so that we can let you know when we answer your question. But right now, we've got Chris Tomlin back on the podcast. It's sort of like a part B to our episode that we had a few weeks ago. In today's episode, we go into a whole bunch more depth and I ask him different questions. I think you're really going to love it. He's a great guy and he's super open. I think there's a lot to be learned from someone like Chris, who's done the hard yards, who's worked hard, and who's gone the distance, leading the church in worship, writing songs that inspire us to love God and to honor Him. So let's jump into the interview and I'll talk to you afterwards. Welcome, Chris, to the podcast. It's so good to have you.
Thank you.
I can remember first meeting you. I was with Ruben Morgan and Rubes and you were writing together.
Yes.
And I got the privilege of coming over to your house and just kind of observing.
I remember that. I remember
the
you
process.
staying at the house, yes.
So I read a book and I don't think I read very much because I was just watching you guys write.
Yeah.
Observe that. And I guess it encouraged me and it also challenged me in just watching the way you approached your writing. Mm-hmm. So people would know you for your many songs around the world. But I guess take us back to the start.
Oh, yeah.
When you're a little kid or...
Wow.
I read somewhere that you were maybe 8 years old when you had an experience of sort of knowing the direction of life.
Yeah.
Take us back there.
Wow. My dad put a guitar in my hand when I was 9.
Yeah.
And my dad, I grew up in a really small little town in Texas, tiny. 2,000 people was the entire, I think there's 40 people in my school.
Yeah.
Very small church. My dad put a guitar in my hand and when I was 9 and started teaching me country music. Mm-hmm. Willie Nelson. People who listen to this podcast probably don't know who that is.
Right.
But he's like this Texas legend, okay? And that's who I learned. It was Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson, these guys. That's who my dad loved. The Outlaws is what they were called.
Right.
My dad loved those guys. And I would learn to play music that way. I started playing songs. But I'd play in church. I grew up playing in church. And I loved playing in church. I loved the opportunity to play in church. And what you mentioned was just as I got a little older, I was at a youth kind of camp for the summer. And we would go to this thing once a year and we'd gather. And I remember it was in a time of worship. We're all singing. We're all young. I think it was maybe 7th, 8th grade. And just gathered together, and it was just so beautiful. It was so powerful. But there was something happening this one night, and it was on this university campus, and I felt like something hit me like fire, like my body was on fire.
Wow.
I didn't know what was going on. You know, I was young. I didn't know what was happening. There was no preacher at the moment saying, calling anybody to anything.
Right.
We were just in there. Everybody was just in there singing. And I was just so overcome. I remember, Rich, I remember running out the back of this place. Took off and ran out just by myself. Yeah. Just took off running out the back into the night. It was like out of the place. I'm sure counselors were going, we got to go find Chris. What was he doing? But I remember it was pitch black outside, and I found this tree. Yeah. Ran and found this tree, knelt under this tree. I could probably take you to this tree today. And I just knelt there and said, God, whatever you want. I said, and I remember saying this specifically, God, I really feel that you're speaking to me. I don't know what that is. Wow. I said, you're the creator of the world, and I'm in 8th grade, so what in the world do I have to say to you?
Right.
but I know you're speaking to me, but I don't know what you're saying. I was just honest because it's like, but I said, whatever you want for the rest of my life, here I am. I just want to be available to you. And I know you're speaking to me and calling me to something. I don't know what that is, but I want you to know I'll go wherever you want me to go. And it wasn't like, there was no in my mind of being a musician, a songwriter, singer. Right. It was just that moment of just like God calling me. I felt like God was really speaking to me. And I hear people, always say, God speak to me, he said this. I didn't know it. I didn't know what he's saying. Right. So if you're out there going, I don't really understand, but I'm in the same place with you. I didn't understand what God was saying. I just felt something in my heart pulling me like this, and I knew there was a knowing, even as a young kid, that this was something different. This was, looking back, it's the Spirit of God, Holy Spirit, right? Like I'm choosing you. Yeah, I'm calling you out, and just responding to that. And I think that's what He's looking for more than anything. He's not looking for everything all together. You okay, now you've got it all together. Now I can. Right. I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. I said, God, whatever you want. And this started this journey for me. I call them these awakening moments. That was a real awakening moment. And it was, and as I moved further on in life, I would have these other kind of those awakening moments where the light comes on again. You're like, oh, I see it more clear. But it started getting opportunities to play in my church more and more. And I loved when people would sing with me. Right. I did not like singing to people. And that's that's as elementary as I knew how to say it. Did not know the term worship music. Okay. Honestly, never heard the word worship leader. Never heard those terms.
Well, did you go to a church that was like that?
No, I went to this Southern Baptist church in Texas. We sang 3 hymns every Sunday. Yeah. We had the message, then we watched the Dallas Cowboys. That was pretty much that was church. Right. You got three songs. You had the message, then you're home basically, and it was great. So one of the things I love about that it was an incredible people, incredible heritage. I learned so much about the Bible. I love where I come from, but it wasn't this like just these worship sets of music that was just that I really got into. I'm thankful that I learned. It put all this knowledge of the hymns in me that always comes out in my music, but I didn't know what it was, but I would get a chance. They'd say, hey, you know how to play guitar. You're in our youth group. Why don't you get and play a song? And I would play a song in my church, and I would go home and I'd tell my mom, this is elementary. I say, Mom, I really like it when people sing with me. I don't know what it is, but I don't like performing. Yeah. I don't like to stand up there and singing. I want to sing songs that people sing with me. Right. And looking back, now I see the plan. I see what God, He had that. He had gifted me that way to love that, to chase that, to like, okay, that's unique to me. That God was wiring me to lead people to worship, to start writing songs that were simple, easy to sing, people could sing, and that's what I really loved, and I still love that to this day. That's what I love more than anything. I've never wanted to chase being a performer, entertainer, that kind of thing. I love people having a good time. I love when they come to concerts. I hope they know it's excellent and they are inspired. But the biggest thing is that at some point in the night, everybody is just locked together singing to God and worshiping God. That's so from a young kid. That's where it was, and from that 8th grader under that tree saying, God, whatever you want me to do. Yeah. How it turned into this is crazy.
Right. So the story I told where I was at your house, I remember going to the restroom, and along the wall you had a shelf with a whole bunch of awards. Yeah. And at the time I was like amazed. But now I go, hearing your story, from a young kid, obviously God had spoken to you and directed you. Yeah. But my question would be, was that a straight line from young kid to Grammy Award?
No. Right. No straight line. Right. So, no straight line.
So how did you continue to pursue, I guess, creativity and the arts and get better musically?
Yeah. You want the real story?
Yeah.
So I was in high school. I'm getting about a senior in high school, and this guy comes to my house, and he was a music minister in our church, and he traveled and played music. I thought that was the greatest thing. How do you do that? I mean, nobody in my family's ever been in ministry. My dad's a pharmacist. I worked at the pharmacy every day. Yeah. I said I was a drug dealer. I delivered drugs. I delivered drugs to nursing homes. That's what I did. Right. And no one in my family's ever done anything like this. But this guy in my church, he would go and travel, and people would come and listen to him play. I thought, this guy's amazing. He's about my dad's age. I'm in high school. He comes by my house one day. I'm driving it. He said, Chris, I'm driving about 3 hours. I've already asked your parents. You can come, I want you to come with me, help set up everything, and you can sell the tapes in the back. Okay,
Yeah.
Tapes. That'll tell you what period of years it was. So I'm selling the tapes. For those of you who don't know what tapes are, Google them. They're amazing. It's an amazing time in music. And so I'm in the back. I'm in high school, and he stopped. There's about 500 people, and he stops in his concert. He's goes, I got a friend here, Chris. He's in the back, and he's gonna come up and play some songs for you guys. And I'm like, he didn't mention this to me. This is his plan all along, but he did not mention this to me. Did not say that he was going to do this. I was not prepared for that. I'd only played at my church. Right. When you only play at your church, you don't know if you're any good,
right?
Because everybody's
going to be nice to you.
Yeah. So and I was horrible. I got up and it was just, honestly, it was really bad. And I think I got the sympathy claps, like, please get off stage. And afterwards, a guy came up to me and said, well, man, that was powerful. Why don't you come to my church? And would you come to my church and sing? And I was like, what? And it started this thing where that led into the next thing, into the next thing, into the next thing. And I go to this church. I go to the guy's church, and he said, would you come play? We're doing a youth crusade in the summer, and we'd love for you to play the whole week. And I said yes, not thinking I should not say this because I didn't have enough songs. I only knew 3 songs.
Right.
But I said yes. I had 3 songs in my 3 bullets in the gun. And that was it. And I started thinking, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to play for a week. I don't know any songs.
Right.
This is amazing how God puts things together. This guy calls me. He's got this real low voice. He said, hey, my name is James. It's like, hey, I'm Chris. And he said, I'm speaking at this youth crusade, and I see that you're the guy that's doing the music. And I was like, yeah. He goes, I'm calling you because I've never heard of you. And I'm calling you to see what kind of music you do, kind of know who I'm going to be with for the week. And I was like, well, James, the reason you never heard of me is I've never done this before. I don't know. And I said, I got 3 songs. And I was really proud. And he's like, and you could hear the long pause. And he goes, and this is just the Lord. He's like, well, can I send you some music? I was like, yeah. So he sends me some tapes in the mail. And it's produced. It says, it's all these little worship tapes. It says, produced by Louis Giglio. I'm 19 years old. I'm like, that's a funny name. That's all I think. I don't know who that is. And it's all these worship songs, these new, I love you, Lord. Lord, you're more precious than silver, and mighty is the Lord. All these new choruses are coming, and I'm just like, I love these. So I just learned them all, and that started my first time of leading worship. And I just had note cards with all the songs written on the lyrics and the chords, and I would just play. I would just put the note cards on the stage, and never looked at anybody. I was scared to death, and I just play the songs. And that week, that guy James, he comes to me at the end of the week. He said, Chris, 2 things. And I was like, yeah. He's like, I got 2 things. I've been praying for you. I was like, I'm sure you have. He goes, I got 2 things for you. One is, you have no idea what you're doing. I was like, well, thank you. Yeah. God bless you. God's shared you. And then secondly, he said, you have no idea how God's going to use you, your music all over the world. And I'll never forget that. And he put his hand on my head. We're standing there. That was weird. He didn't say, I'm going to pray for you.
Right.
I wasn't ready for that.
And you're from your Baptist church.
My Baptist church. This is weird. I didn't see this coming. He puts his hand on my head, just looks right into my eyes. And he said, God, make Chris a psalm writer for his generation. And he just looks at me, and it was like lightning went through me, man. And that started a journey of opportunities from not every. And I'm saying all this to say, I never tried to do it. There was never a point where I was like, I'm going to go make this happen. Right. It was the Lord just opening up all these from that. And I would try to do other things. I was going to school to be in sports medicine. Right. I was going to be, I wanted to work in some kind of sports team doing physical therapy, I thought, or doing some kind of medical work. That's what I thought I was doing. Right. And every time I'd have my plan, I would be setting my agenda for graduate school and all these things. I would come back to that prayer as an 8th grader. God would take me back. Yeah. God, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. And all these opportunities were coming from music. I don't even know why. I'm fielding all these calls by the time I'm in college. Every weekend, people are calling me, would you come play? Hey, we love your songs. Would you come play at our thing? I'm like, and it was all over Texas. It was really Texas. And it was just me and a guitar. And I go, yeah, I'd love to come play. And I didn't know how these people were getting my name. I'd keep saying, how are you getting my name and my number? I'm just going to school.
Right.
And college, it's amazing looking back, thinking, wow, there was in a world today that is so much, that you feel so much striving, and I have to do this, and I have to, and if it's going to be done, I got to work and make this happen. I just say that it hit me today that when I was thinking about David.
Yeah.
And the brothers, and they had the brothers lined up, all his brothers lined up, who were they just seemed like the right ones. They're like, these are the guys. One of these has got to be God's. And remember, Samuel goes through and looking at the brothers, and he says, "No." He goes, "There's got to be somebody else. This is not. I don't really sense God leading me to one of these. It's not him." And Jesse, the dad, says, "Oh, I got one more back there," and he's out there keeping the sheep.
Right.
And it hit me that maybe you feel like, gosh, what does God really see me? Maybe you're a worship leader, and you're keeping the sheep. You're just doing your thing with the people. You keep doing your thing faithfully. Does God really see me? Maybe these other people look like they've got it better. And God said, no, it's that one. It's that one. And I've always felt that way.
Yeah.
I've always felt that way because I never tried to do this. And it was definitely, in some way, I was like, it's that one.
That one.
It's that one. I come from where I come from, from what I should never be here, you know. I mean, and so it's amazing to me.
We'll get right back to the episode, brought to you by our Hillsong Worship and Creative Conference, which happens in Sydney, Australia every November. It's for every kind of creative, whether you're a musician, singer, a graphic designer, architect, an audio engineer, or video editor. It's a place for the artists of the church to gather together, to worship, to be inspired and refreshed, and to be equipped and trained for your sphere of creativity. Come be a part of everything happening on site, like the exclusive collabs with practical training from our key Hillsong team. The conference has limited spaces, so if you can't make it to Sydney this year, why not join the online conference experience so you don't miss a moment of the main sessions? Find out more at hillsong.com/WCC. We can't wait to host you in November. Now, let's get back to the episode.
I'm Chris Tomlin, and this is my Fantastic Four. The title of the current chapter of my life would be, How Did This Happen? That would be the title. How did this happen? One, my music. How has this happened? The amazing things I've gotten to do, my music. But also how this happened that I have an amazing wife and two little girls, when I only came from boys, and my house is filled up with girls. And so how did this happen takes on a whole another world of like, oh my gosh, how did this happen and how do I do this? Maybe it's how did this happen and how do I do this? My favorite cuisine would be thin crust pizza. I mean, it's got to be that kind of burnt crust, kind of New York style, very thin crust. The last book that I read was The Wright Brothers. David McCullough is my favorite author. He's an American historian. He writes on the history of so many, and I love history. It's like one of my favorite things. And the Wright brothers, obviously, just their quest of creating flight and of powered flight. And it is, and we learned that in the history books about the Wright brothers and Kitty Hawk and the first plane. But it's like, it's amazing what they did. The perseverance, the things that I learned, and the opening sentence. The opening sentence of the book, I can still remember. It says, "No bird soars in the calm." And that's the opening sentence of the book. No bird ever soars in the calm. And I thought, how amazing is that to life, right? No bird soars in the calm. That's the truth. It's the resistance. It's the wind resistance that makes you soar. It's the resistance that comes against you. And that whole book is about that. The whole book is all the resistance that came against these brothers and their absolute genius and their absolute brilliance and their perseverance on no money, no fame. They had nothing. They did it themselves. They had a bicycle shop. And in the back of the bicycle shop, on just pennies, they started creating the first airplane. And I'm reading it on an airplane. So when you're reading this flying, you're like, oh my gosh, it was these guys. If I didn't have to sleep, I would probably try to figure out golf. how to play golf. I try and try and try, and it's just when I think I'm getting pretty good, the next day I go out and it's awful and it's so frustrating. And I'm a very competitive person and I want to master it, and it's just not a game you can master. So I know people would think maybe I should pray if I wasn't sleeping, that that should be my answer, is pray. That probably should be my answer, let's be honest. But I think I might try to figure out golf.
Often people ask me about, you're out and about and people say, what's the real secret behind Hillsong Church? What's tell me the inside word. And I guess I look at it from the inside, being here for 20 something years, and I see the faithfulness and just the grace of God on Pastor Brian and Bobby and on the church.
Yep.
And alongside that, see people just laying down their life, continuing to just choose God.
Yes.
And to choose faithfulness and the hard work of that.
Yes.
Sounds to me like you're describing a similar life.
Yes.
Where you're saying it's God. There's been these moments.
Yeah.
But obviously there's been a lot of hard work along the way.
A lot of hard work. It's a lot of steps. It's a lot of, there's never been this overnight thing where like people, it's years and years. I would just, because it was back to that 8th grader prayer, right?
Yeah.
God, I'll do whatever. I'll go whatever. Yeah. And it was years and years. And it's been years and years of just, I never had a band. I didn't have there was no record label. There was no CDs. It's just, I was wanting to write songs from the Bible studies I was involved with, and which I started traveling, doing youth camps, doing youth things. So many years of doing. I've done so many things. I did a concert one time where there was 6 people came. Okay,
like in the total in the room.
Total
right.
6. 6.
It's demoralizing.
It's demoralizing. And I remember the guy introduced me with a microphone. I was like, bro, you don't have to have a mic.
Right.
They're right here. It's all good. And I remember this. This was the introduction. You ready for this, Rich? Here's the introduction. Well, we got Chris Tomlin here. Everybody's excited. Yes, crickets. And he's like, he's got, he's got some music. He's got CDs back there. They're by the Nachos. I've heard it. It's pretty good. That was
bad.
Intro. Yeah. Welcome, Chris Tomlin.
Right. And you're like,
These are things. One of my first concert I ever did, nobody came, and they went and got buses from the blind and deaf school of kids. They busted them in because nobody came.
Yeah.
And they brought them in. And so I did a concert to people who could not see me or hear me.
Right.
The whole concert.
Right.
People would not believe if I could tell you story after story, and they think, oh my gosh, you've probably always just walked up and spent arenas, and you've probably, all your music's won awards and stuff like that. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of just staying true to but I just knew it wasn't so if it was about, if I didn't know why I was doing it, if I didn't know why I was doing it, those things would have stopped you in your tracks. You'd have been like, this doesn't work.
Right.
But I wasn't, but I knew why. I knew deep down why I was doing this, because it was God's calling me to do it and give me opportunities. And I was like, okay, Lord, where are we going next?
Yeah.
And then I find myself, in Uganda. And it's all these people. And I'm like, what in the world? How is this little guy from a little Texas town in Uganda? And the microphone that I'm singing into was taped to a volleyball pole. They didn't have a mic stand. Right. And it's taped to a volleyball pole, and I'm staring at a volleyball pole singing to all these people. It was like, just the crazy things, I think that people see something like, gosh, I'd love to do what you do. I'm like, well, that's great. It's great. It's going to be about 20 years of, I've been doing this for 20 something years, and it's going to be at least 10 years of just, you don't even know what's going to happen the next week or the next month or where you're going to be provided for, and how's that going to work? And I used to think, Lord, I can't do this. How am I ever going to get married? How am I ever going to go to the girl's dad and say, I'm not sure exactly if I'm going to make any money, but I want to marry. I had all those insecurities. Like, I don't know how to do music. I don't know is this going to work? I had all those things. But man, I look back now and I'm so thankful to taking those steps. And that's faith, right? When you're taking it, when it's not all lined out. And I've said this for a long time and I mean it. If God has something to say, he will move mountains to put you where he wants you. If he has something for you to do, he will put you on the platform that he wants you on. Be encouraged by that. He's in control, and I've always tried to rest in that. And every time I start getting in there and trying to make it work, it's just so much striving, and then when I just say, okay, Lord, I'm just open, man, amazing things happen, and you can just rest in that, and
Love that. Have you ever had times where one part of life is being super successful, and then the, I guess, more private or personal side of life, there's other things that you have an angst about? How do you reconcile that?
Well, for the longest time, I had so much trouble with relationship. I was single, so you can imagine it was awful. Just having this amazing success, nobody to share it with, really. You just play all these tours, and you go home, and it was like, it's just so quiet, and you wrestle with that, and you just, so many lies that start coming in, and all the doubts, and the thing that's most important in life, is relationship and people, and you don't have that, and you are really well known by people, but you feel really lonely. There's a lot of loneliness, I think, for several years. But I just try to stay the course and just fall down, get up, fall down, get up, fall down, get up, all in that journey of finally. And I look at myself now I have a family, and it's beautiful. But for the longest time, I thought, is that ever going to come? Is that, because that's what I was really longing for, looking for.
Yeah. Do you ever look back and think, I mean, I know I do, I look back on times like that where I've had just tough seasons, doubts and failure and just stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And look back now and go, it's sort of, in the scheme of things, God's worked it out.
Yeah.
But it felt so big at the time. Now I look back and go, what was I ever worried about? I guess back to Judah's thing of he's in the car, God's driving.
I think it was a lot of me taking control of that part of my life. Right. And that's a bad move.
Right.
And looking back, I think, God, you can have all of this, but this one part of my life, you don't really know what's best for me. Right. And I know what's best for me. And and maybe you don't really know. And so it just fell apart so many times. And it would knock me down. And I would make mistakes because I was so much in control of it. Right. And thought I knew best. Yeah.
I love that God's brought you through that. And got a lovely wife, two beautiful daughters.
Two little girls, 6 and 3. My wife is Lauren, my daughters Ashlyn and Madison. And they're the amazing.
Have they completely changed life?
Oh, yes. Well, it completely reorients all your priorities instantly. I remember when Ashlyn was born, we had we were at a normal traditional hospital in America, but we had the midwife doula person there too. Okay. Lauren, my wife, wanted to have a natural childbirth, and so she's just so strong. But can you imagine if it was up to guys for the populate the world? It'd be over. And so but we have this girl that was kind of helping her. Well, as soon as Ashlyn was born, they didn't need to help Lauren. They had to resuscitate me. I think I might have passed out. Right. I was I remember just being on the floor, heaving, bawling my eyes out. I wasn't ready for that. I was just so overcome. Right. People always tell me, it's like, man, when I was talking to people, when I had my child, they'd be saying, it was the greatest day of my life. And I'd be like, and honestly, this is between me and you and everybody that listens to podcasts. I'd be like, you need to get a life. That's what I'm thinking. I think, I look at all these things I get to, you talking about the greatest day of your life, having a kid. No, I get to go on tour. I get to do these things. And then when Ashton was born, I was like, I was on the floor and kind of been on the floor since, because it's just, it's the awe of like that being a dad. I realized it's the one thing I can never quit doing. You can quit your marriage. God forbid that ever happens, and I don't ever plan on that. But you can quit marriage in life. You can quit everything. You can quit your job. You can never quit being a dad. I'm always going to be her dad. I'm always going to be Madison's dad, those two girls. That's a massive thing. You don't quit that. That's for life, you know? And I was like, and it just hit me. It's like, it's a complete change of priorities, and it's a complete change. And so it rewired everything, the way I think about things, the way I think about how I balance my life and my music now. You know, forever I was just going. And now it's like, no, you don't just go. You can't just go and then you show up and your kids are 15, 16 years old and they don't know who you are. That doesn't work. That's not God's plan. But so this is like, it's just a beautiful, rich time.
I love that. So songwriting, you're known for songs with the family and with commitments, traveling and whatnot. Do you find that it's harder to find time to create?
Sure, it's harder to find time, but and I always think that after every record's done, it's done. I'm like, okay, there's no way I'll ever have another song. But you know, this conference, this theme is there is more, right? And I think about that scripture, sing a new song, and Psalm 40, sing a new song, and it just keeps, and God just keeps giving more, bringing more thoughts, more ideas, more inspiration. And the way I write is always in pieces. A song doesn't really just come. It just fully sometimes, but most of the time it's just in pieces. And I have a phone filled with just melodies and voice memos of things. And I love to get together. Then I get together with some guys that I really trust and love, and we write. And I'm very intentional. Where because of family and because of touring, I have to be very intentional. So I schedule it. It's on the calendar. I heard somebody say, if it's not on the calendar, it's not real. And I was like, that is so true. You can say all you want. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but it's, unless it's on your calendar. And like, that was really good for me. So it's down on August 10, 11, 12, this is what I'm doing. And so I really try to be intentional of scheduling it down, not just saying, oh, next week I'm going to write. I'm going to, okay, what day? When am I going to do it? When am I setting that out, setting that up? And so to be very purposeful, and obviously all the inspiration comes, it comes in different times from that. It comes that I can never explain that. how a song comes, but they just come. But then writing that down of like, this is when I'm going to get really serious about trying to finish this, whatever is in my heart about this. I'm going to try to finish it here because now there's way more, right? I mean, there's not really. If I'm at home, if I sit at the piano, I got two little girls around me immediately saying, "That's great, Dad. Let's sing Let It Go." That's nice what you're trying to do, but can we sing something that we like? And so that's where I am.
So you would not prescribe to the thought that you have to be late at night, and as a creative, I guess there's this stereotype of not being planned and not having a calendar.
Not for me. I'm more of a that for a lot of people that is really the way it flows, and I get that. For me, it's I like structure. I'm a pretty structured guy, and I like sitting down. So I say it's going to be on this day, and we're going to work together, but it may take me way beyond that. It's not like I'm going to go work from 10 to 5 and whatever happens. I think I am very relentless about songs, and once I have a song, I will keep working on that song until I finally have to say, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Because there's so many ways I could go, but at some point I have to say, and I think it's harder. It's been harder now than ever, kind of landing the plane on songs because of having so many years of a bar set. And I feel sometimes I feel that of like, what does it match up to these in the past? And so I feel all that, but I just have to let it go. And just say, this is the best I can do for right now. But I will not. I never settle. Like when a song comes and it's written, that does not mean it's what it's going to be like by the time it gets. I don't ever settle. I always think, is there a way I can make this better? And then when I tweak the verse and make it a little better, I was like, oh, now the chorus has got to be better than that. Right. I'm always tweaking and always thinking and always in it, trying to make it better and better and better.
Is it then a deadline that stops you, or you
pretty much?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, it's time to put this on a record and we have to go with it. But you just have to be good with, okay, there's 3 or 4 options that people will not hear,
right?
You know, that they won't hear, and you just got to be good with it.
Yeah. When Ruben and Ben were writing Mighty to Save, Ben would come home from a writing session. He'd lived with us for a while, and he'd play us the latest chorus, and so Cass and I got to know the chorus, and then he'd come back the next week and it was different.
It's different.
And we're disappointed because of that
like
process, like the old one. But in that, I guess I loved watching the collaboration, and I guess I've loved watching your collaboration with people too.
Yes.
How do you see that? What's the place of collaboration?
That's the strength, man. That is the strength. That has really changed. That changed my life when collaboration started happening. Early on, obviously, I didn't know anybody.
Right.
Just be by myself, writing songs, you know. And as I got to know these relationships and build relationships like Ben and Ruben and Matt Redman and Jonas and Ed Cash, the Ed Cash world, that was a life changer. A great story on that. Ed's a producer in Nashville. He produces great music.
Yeah.
And at the time, I'd loved the music he produced. And I'd called him and said, would you produce my music? And he said, no. He said, I don't like worship music. This is our first conversation. He goes, I think it's subpar. I think it's lame. He's just going on. I'm like, I don't know this guy. Who is this guy? Who does he think he is? I was completely offended. And I said, well, I don't know why. I said, well, would you think about it and I'll call you back? He said, sure. And he started thinking about it, and it started coming, and we ended up working together. So he said, well, let's play me some songs. So I bring the song. I have this song. It's my first record with Ed, and I said, I have this song. And I think it's good. It's called How Great Is Our God. And I play him the chorus, and he goes, man, that's pretty good. And I'll never forget, he's sitting in a sofa like I'm sitting now. There's a wall in my back, and there's a guitar hanging over the wall. And I'll never forget, he grabs his guitar.
Yeah.
I don't know that he can play and sing. I just know he's made great music.
Right.
And he says, he goes, I was listening to that, and I feel like it needs something else. And I'm like, who are you? I'm like, who does this guy think he is?
Right.
This is a pretty good song.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, he grabs his guitar, and he starts going, you're the name above all names. You are what? He goes, what about something like, you are worthy of all praise?
Love it.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And he said, Chris, after I got off the phone with you, he said, I was laying in my bed, and I was thinking about our conversation, how I just went off on worship music. And he said, God grabbed me, and he said, how dare you curse what I've kissed?
Wow.
And he said, I got on my face, and I repented, and I'd love to work with you. It's the first worship record he ever made with me. It was with How Great Is Our God.
Amazing.
And Holy is the Lord, all those songs. Now he's like known as
now he loves worship music.
Yeah, now everybody thinks that guy is like the worship producer. But it started off with like, but that collaboration started in a really special way.
Yeah.
And then with all my friends that collaborate, and I found that when you open yourself, to like, no, this is, when you can say, this is not, a lot of people go in and saying, this is my thing, this is what God gave me, this is the way it goes. And then when you can open it and you can listen to somebody else and trust, it is so much powerful what these songs, what happens with these songs.
Yeah.
I think about, I wouldn't be sitting here with you, I don't think, without the collaboration of these people and just the strength of the songs and them making them better. And then, but at the end of the day, if it's for me, I have to say, I have to make the decision of like, what do I feel the strongest about leading? I can have all these input. You can have input all you want, but at the end of the day, it's on me to go, this is the direction I feel like I want to go with the song. This is what I feel like God's given me. And yeah,
amazing. Hey, well, we've used up a lot of time, and I'm really grateful that you came and you chat. I feel like I've got a bunch more questions as well. And
I wish we could keep going. I wish we could keep going.
Thank you. My understanding is you've got an album coming out in the fall.
I do.
Do you want to just quickly share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be called Holy Roar.
Yeah.
I wrote this book with my friend Darren called Holy Roar. He's a pastor in Nashville.
Yeah.
It's the best message on worship I think I've ever heard in my life.
Wow.
He gave him one Sunday. And I never heard about what praise really means.
Right.
And I thought, I've heard every message on worship you can. I've given them.
Right.
And then I was like, what in the world? And so we wrote this book called Holy Roar.
Yeah.
And that was been amazing. But I think the record is going to be called Holy Roar.
Yeah.
And I've been working on this record for a year. I'm so proud of it. I cannot wait for people to hear some of these songs. They are just, again, the same. I'm going after the same thing.
Yeah.
It all goes through the filter of, is this going to be something when I'm walking up that people can sing with me?
Yeah.
Is this going to be just performing world? I'm not interested in that. It's going to be something that people can sing with me. And I'm always trying to, that lens and trying to create it in a way that is musically great, but always comes back to, man, I can lead that at my church.
Yeah.
And gosh, we've gone through so many songs.
Right.
Gone through some interesting different producers on this with Ed, along with Ed, and I'm excited for people to hear what this is going to be.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, well, thanks so much, and I can't wait till we get to do this again.
Yeah, 2.0.
All right, done. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hey, well, that was a pretty fun interview. I loved chatting with Chris, and I loved hearing beyond the songwriter and the worship leader and the person we see on the platform to the heart of the man. He's a worshiper through and through, and he loves God, and he wants to do his best to honor him. And I think there's something for us all to be learnt in that. Next up, we've got this week's story for the Psalms of Ascent, and you can find out more at hillsong.com/WCC. And don't forget to join us in the 100-Day Creative Challenge.
Why is it that a drummer would wake up at 5:30 in the morning, load their drums into the back of their car, drive in the cold to somewhere where they've got to set their drums up and play? I mean, why do we do that every week for years and years and years? It can't just be because you love playing drums. And sometimes you can kind of get caught up in all the details and all the factors that can impact us. But if you boil it down to the fact that, I want to serve God with my gift, it actually makes the decision to just keep going that much easier. I don't know if how much we forge our character in, like, on the mountaintop moments. It's more in the mundane, everyday, and the disappointment times of our lives where our character is forged. Your calling is about attaching your gifts to God's purposes. When we just continue day by day to do what God has called us to do, my biggest encouragement to you would be show up this week, then the following week show up and do it, and the following week show up and do it, because there is so much growth and there's development in just showing up and just sticking to the plan.
Well, that's it for today's episode. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you'd like to subscribe, you can do that pretty much anywhere you get podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and even YouTube. We'd also like to hear from you too. So if you have a comment, you can do that on our Instagram, which is @HillsongWCC, and we'll see you next time.